There you go.
Sorry, I have to send an email to somebody real quick. Let's see. Today is June 10th, and we are convened for the Public Health and Safety meeting, and I am present. Leanna?
I am also here.
Kelly?
Here I am.
Okay. So we're all present. May I have a motion to approve our meeting for we didn't have a meeting last month, so we had a meeting in May.
I move to approve the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting minutes from May 13, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that motion passed unanimously. So on the agenda for today's June 10th meeting, I have item number 4, the Police Strategic Plan and 2024 Performance Data Review by the Police Department. And Chief Mason, are you going to be giving that presentation? Good morning.
Good morning, council members. I get the honor of kicking it off. So this will actually, I know it talks about strategic growth plan and then data. It's going to primarily focus on our 2024 data. So we want to be able to report to you some of the activities that were undertaken, some of the things that were accomplished, and allow you to see a lot of the good work that's been done. In doing so, I'm going to open it up, but I'm going to pass it on to the subject matter experts. Deputy Chief Keelis, Detective Lieutenant Kolb, Administrative Manager Wool, and Doc Bowers are going to provide content to you so you can see what we have accomplished throughout 2024. And then at the end, I'll talk about a little bit about our transition plan and some of the things that we've accomplished in 2025. So I'm going to start this off and then I'll pass it off to Deputy Chief Keelis. First of all, just who are we? We are broken up into different divisions. We've talked about this before, but primary focus for today is going to be operations, detectives, and administration. And each has its own critical, unique role to play in serving our community. And the subject matter experts for those divisions are going to cover those areas. Next. Personnel, just a reminder, we have 37 commission positions, 2 limited commission, those are our code enforcement officers, and then we have 7 non-commissioned staff. In 2024, we brought on 6 additional staff, 3 departed, 2 were due to medical issues, and 1 was due to a retirement. Russ Mize retired after many years of service to the city of Tumwater, the Tumwater Police Department. And in 2024, we completed 12 hiring processes. The reason we put that in there is just to show the efforts that we are putting in place to bring the right people into the Tumwater Police Department, and also just to recognize how complex our backgrounds are. Police officer backgrounds are very in-depth with a lot of interviews and the polygraph, medical, psych at the end. But one thing just to note is that every position within the Tumwater Police Department requires a background process that includes a polygraph. So it's a big undertaking to bring people on board to the Tumwater Police Department. Next. So we're going to talk about operations. Deputy Chief Keelis is going to cover this for you, and he is in charge of all operations for the police department. And he's not only is he in charge, but honestly, he's one of our best. He's one of our experts at use of force and training and patrol tactics and procedure. One of the things that we've seen significantly over the past 5 years specifically, but even the past 10 years, is the critical nature of training and standardization that has come into play. And Deputy Chief Keelis is, at the forefront of that for our agency, but also regionally in what he does. So I'll pass it on to him.
Good morning, everyone. Laura, go ahead for the next slide, please. So 24 was a busy year, just like past years. We did a lot with the resources we have. As you can see on the screen, calls for service for 2024 was 19,270 responses from our officers. And in the graph right next to that kind of breaks down what those calls were. Almost half of the calls were officers on traffic stops and responding to suspicious persons complaints. And that attributed for about almost 3,800 responses from the officers here. Next slide, Laura.
Deputy Chief, can I ask a quick question? Do you
Yes.
want us to do questions throughout, or would you like us to wait till the end?
Oh, you can do it throughout.
Thank you.
So this next slide shows arrest data for 2024, 628 arrests. The top 5 arrest categories were warrants and your simple assaults. And then we had 2 that were tied. You'll see there's, it says top 5, but you'll see there's like 6 slices of the pie. That's because our suspended drivers and residential burglaries actually tied with the same number. So we have 5, but just 2 of them were tied. So that's the arrest data. Next slide, Laura. So K9 unit, if you haven't met Officer Grimmett and K9 Thor, they're replaced. Russ now permanently as our primary K9 team. We had 29 deployments in 2024. Chase and Thor had 83 training evolutions. And what that means is those are days that he actually has to train separately on just K9 related matters outside of department training throughout the year. And he had 5 social visits. So that's him going out into the community, going to schools, doing demonstrations, talking about the K9 program, telling people who we are, what we're about. And we expect that to go up this next year with Chase. Other items of note of highlight for Officer Grimmett and Thor this year is they are now narcotics certified through the state of Washington. So they can detect fentanyl and all the other drugs, excluding marijuana. So that's a huge asset for us. So that he dedicated 5 straight weeks going to training every single day. We got that done. And so we're now one of only a couple narcotic detection teams in the county. So we provide that service here as well as to our partner agencies throughout the county. They're doing a great job, especially with the fentanyl stuff and finding that and getting it off the streets. Next, code enforcement. So as you're aware, we have the code enforcement, 2 code enforcement Officer Long and Officer Houston. In 24, here are the code enforcement violations that we responded to. So you could see most of them were either permits or planning was required, people doing things without getting the appropriate documents completed beforehand, overgrown vegetation, abandoned property in city right-of-ways, and those kind of things. So we also have some code enforcement cases that are continuing that we're working through. And I'm sure most people are aware of which ones those are.
I have a question, Deputy Chief. So out of all the numbers, right, how many are still left open? And then do you have, I think, was it Chief Mason or maybe it was Lisa Parks in one of our work sessions talked about the timeline, right? And the steps that we could take or the options. Where are we at with those notorious sites in Tumwater that have been ongoing for multiple years? Have timelines been addressed with those?
I believe so. Chief Mason, I think some of these guys have been pushed up to the higher levels for review. So I'll let Chief Mason speak to that specifically because I haven't been involved in some of those higher level discussions. Specifically, I'm assuming Rural Road and the Trosper Road properties.
Correct.
Yeah, so just remember, this is 2024 data, so it's really tough to say how many of, I don't have it out right now, which ones are still open. The vast majority have been resolved, but obviously not all of them, especially some of the more complex ones. We have some timelines or some processes are in place. I would say that Rural Road is probably the one that has made, as far as the complex issues, has made some progress. The rest of them are in different stages of process. And this is kind of that large conversation that we're having with multiple departments in the city on how do we move forward on some of those properties.
Thank you, Chief. I would love for when we're doing like calendaring to like circle back maybe at the end of the year with council on that, because Administrator Perks talked about all the potential options that you're all talking about, right? And I know that the Air Authority and Thurston County Public Health are still, I'm still getting questions regarding the status. And so I would love to have an update towards the end of the year of where we're at.
So just for clarification, you're getting questions from the Air Authority about the status or from people regarding that specific? Okay.
The reason with the Air Authority is they had came and presented at a lot board meeting, right? And we are talking about the complaints that they get in jurisdictions, right? And what does that partnership look like? And acknowledging there's room for larger conversations of how to partner better together. In addition to public health and safety at the county getting complaints from other jurisdictions, right? So opportunity to build those relationships.
Yep, we can have that discussion.
Thanks, Chief.
And what I'll also do is I'll get with Officer Long and Officer Houston. I'll figure out how many cases we had last year that didn't get resolved and carried over into 24, and then I'll send that out to for you to take a look at that and see that in comparison to this slide. All right, next slide, Laura. So some of the 24 accomplishments for the patrol division, we've really, if you saw some of the earlier slides, shoplifting is one of our higher calls that we respond to. So we've partnered with the major retail stores to do shoplifting emphasis, work with them and their loss prevention teams to figure out, hey, how can we curb some of this shoplifting that's happening, and looking at trying to be a little bit more preventative versus being reactionary to it. So that work is continuing. Again, I know we have some scheduled coming up for officers working with our big box stores. Community events, we participate in National Night Out. We got Dog Days where Officer Grimmett and K9 Thor were at. That's happening, I believe, on the 14th, again at Pioneer Park. So he'll be out there again if you want to stop by and say hi. We do Shop with a Cop in December, very well received, huge event. Of course, the 4th of July, which is all hands on deck. You get to see me all day long on our parade, and then our festival that we have in the evening, and then Brewfest in August. So those are kind of our big events that we go to. Management certifications, I put this down because this is the first time that we've actually pushed in 24 and 25 to make sure that we have all of our all supervisors, sergeants and above to have their leadership certifications through the Criminal Justice Training Commission. And so last year, middle management certifications were completed for all lieutenants. So myself, Lieutenant Kolb, and Lieutenant Driver are all mid-management certified now through the academy. And by the end of the year, all of our sergeants will have their first level certifications through the academy. It's a pretty big lift. It's a lot of hours, as you can see. We set aside, we break it down every month. They have to participate in classes online that they can do at their own pace. And then we're done. We get an actual certification from the academy, and that's going to provide us a lot of really good training for our up and coming supervisors and for the supervisors that we have. All right. And then next is detectives. And I'm going to turn that over to Lieutenant Kolb, who's going to talk about her division, school resource officers, some evidence things, and then hiring and backgrounds, which she's deeply involved with.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm also not a morning 8 a.m. morning meeting person, but here I am. So I will do it with a smile on my face and love in my heart for all of you guys. So, so for detectives, as you guys are aware, detectives encompass three things. I have investigators. So currently I have 2 general investigators in an unfilled position, myself and a detective sergeant. I have 2 school resource officers, and I have an evidence technician. So hopefully we'll get that 3rd position filled here soon as staffing continues to increase. One thing to note in 24 is that 2 of my investigators had actually gone back to assist patrol during the year. One went back as an acting sergeant. The other one went back to provide some patrol staffing. So that affects the service that we have back here, but that just means that everybody else takes on more work, right? So we get the job done with the staffing we have, and it also gives my investigators the ability to go back out to patrol and sharpen their skills, and maybe get some leadership opportunities, which we highly encourage. So always here to support patrol, because that is our #1 goal in investigations, is patrol support. So in 2024, the investigations division investigated 219 total cases. An additional 58 cases that were referred by APS and CPS. And what that means, we get a lot of APS and CPS referrals throughout the year, and not all of them get investigated. Some of them are multiples. We rely on our partnerships with CPS and APS to determine whether this is something that is handled best at their end, or if it needs to result in an investigation by us. Sometimes it's just a matter of going out and connecting with the victim of the referral, and determining, is the information that's received in the referral appropriate? Is it something that they filed, or is it something that they want no part of? So that we get quite a few of those throughout the year. That number also includes our SRO investigations. Some of the major felony cases that we investigated in 24, a hit and run fatality that resulted in referral charges to the prosecutor's office, a robbery kidnapping that occurred at one of our marijuana processing facilities that also resulted in some arrests. We had multiple aggravated assaults, couple shootings, drive-by shooting, and then a shooting at McDonald's that resulted in arrest for an assault 1, and then obviously multiple sex offenses. We get a lot of sex offenses reported to us throughout the year that really our investigators put a lot of time and heart into. So hiring activity. Hiring falls underneath the investigations division. So some of the things that we did, as Chief Mason has already mentioned, we did 12 entry-level oral boards. Those oral boards, it takes a lot of people, takes a lot of work to do. One of the things that I'm proud of is that in those oral boards, we were able to include at least 16 TPD staff to assist with those oral boards. In addition to just our staff, Matt Milton from HR has been instrumental in getting those set up and facilitated, proctored for us, which is great. We utilized a couple other city employees to sit on our boards, and then 2 community members. We like to diversify our boards to make sure that we have multiple eyes on our applicants, and we are making sure that the people that we're hiring here are meet the needs of the Tumwater community. So we always want to make sure that we have at least one type of community member on our board, and it's not just a panel of police officers. So we had 89 applicants come through our oral boards in 24. After the oral boards, they go to, if they pass, they go to a chief's interview if they're within the top 7 with their scores. From there, we went into 18 backgrounds, and as Chief Mason mentioned, we hired 6 new employees in 24. 2 employees have already been hired in 25, and those backgrounds were actually started in 24 as well. So I guess maybe you could say 8 were hired out of the 24 applicants. Next slide. SRO activity. So our SRO activity, as you can see here, that 410 of those, their activity, and this is for the 24-25 school year up through May data. So obviously we don't have June's data yet. So September to May of this year. 410 school initiated activity versus 53 TPD activity. And what that means is TPD activity is things that are assigned to the SROs, either like CPS referrals, cases assigned that were maybe initiated by patrol, something that was generated as a complaint that came into the police department and we assigned to them, or something that they picked up from dispatch. Versus school initiated activity that was assigned to them by the school, you know, that they responded to a school, or contact that they made themselves with the students, staff, or parents. Yes, Kelly.
I was just wondering, because I feel like the SRO role is like a really good way for police to just really, like, the kids get to know their SROs, and it's kind of on a different level. And like, I know that you play a role in our community with your coaching. I'm just wondering, because I think of it as my only real other law enforcement experience is working closely with the Washington State Patrol. And so like their ADAC unit and their PIOs are kind of like you've done a really good job. So so that's like a highly, like, everybody wants to be in those roles, right? So
Yes.
I'm wondering, is there like a rotation? So other police officers are like, hey, I want to do that too. I want to be more involved with the youth in our community. Is there an opportunity for there to be like a rotation?
Well, there is, and it's actually been through natural attrition. You know, we started the program with just one SRO, and so that was now Sergeant Liska, and you know, positions came, and then we added a second one, which then was filled by Detective Bowling, and then now SRO Rollman is retiring from the program, so that's going to open up another position for him. So, and then the thought is that we add more positions, hopefully in later years, because the school district has approached us in years past and asked us to add more SROs, and we also see the need since we have more schools. So as budget allows in future years, we would like to add more positions, which allows for more officers to join the program. But one of the things that I have found through detectives and through SROs positions is that there's a natural attrition between promotions, retirements, and all that stuff. So yeah, so
can I say something?
Sure.
Just real quick. So our SRO positions are one of our highest risk positions within our department. And what I mean by that is they are out in the schools, really, you know, they don't have direct supervision like almost every other role that we have on a day-to-day basis. So we need to make sure we put the right people in place. And once we get the right people in place, they can make a tremendous difference. One of the things we absolutely encourage for our officers is we encourage officers to do school checks and to connect with the SROs and to find ways to connect within the schools. The other thing too is that we have in the past tried to connect officers through programs like TYP. And I will say that has dropped off a little bit, but that's something that I would like to push again as we move into this next school year. I volunteer at TYP. It's a tremendous opportunity for our officers to connect with kids on just a really positive basis. Back to Councilmember Von Holtz's inquiry, We absolutely want our officers to have those opportunities to make those positive connections in a variety of different ways.
Additionally, we also send new hires that are waiting to go to the academy. We send them off to the schools as well to, I'll say, shadow the SROs, so they get the experience of being in the schools and see what the SROs do, and they get to connect with the kids. So when it comes time for them to decide, what is it I want to do next in my career after patrol, they have an understanding of what the SROs do and decide, they have that experience of having been in the schools with them. Councilmember Gabi.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to focus on incident resolution. So in terms of an incident resolution, who does the resolution?
The SRO. The SRO is the one reporting back how the incident was resolved, that their contact was resolved.
So let me try to understand this. So the incident is either initiated by the school or by the SRO, and then the incident resolution is initiated by the SRO. Am I correct when I say that?
Correct.
Okay, so the information that you just gave me is in conflict with what I was told 2 years ago. As I recall, at that point in time, I was told that our SRO do not participate in incident resolution. That is true. Please excuse the noise outside. We have the garbage truck is our city is being cleaned of garbage, so let's just put it that way. So it's a good thing. So back to my inquiry. So I was told that the SRO do not do incident resolution, that the school does that they were never involved. And the reason why that came up was because Chief Bowers have given a presentation, and we wanted to know at that point in time what were the breakdown or the pattern or the commonality of incidences within our school district. And we never received that data, but in the course of asking for that data, after several up and down, I should say, iteration of where we don't have it, we don't keep this, we don't do what, we were told that the school district does incident resolution. So now this is news to me.
So
So now,
can I clarify?
Go ahead, please.
We do not participate in discipline.
Okay.
Our school SROs do not participate in discipline, but we do try to resolve issues. And I'll give an example. If our SROs make really good relationships with the kids, and if some kid came up and said, "Hey, someone stole my water bottle," they try to help resolve the issue and maybe track it down, or but it's not a criminal issue, it's not a discipline issue. And the schools are required by state law to keep certain data points. And so if if the school engages an SRO, or if an SRO is engaged through a case referral, they have to say how it was resolved. And so it could be resolved in a conversation with the family, it could be resolved in a conversation with the schools, but we do not participate in discipline. So I just want to, I hope that that's clear.
Okay, so now let me clarify, Chief Mason. So the distinction is our SRO or our police department do not participate in disciplinary resolution.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you very, very much.
Next slide.
It's not.
What's that?
There we go.
All right. So some of our accomplishments in 24. So as I previously mentioned, so when the officers get hired here, and there is a waiting period, either if they're lateral, they're waiting for uniforms to arrive, vests, all the equipment that they need, or entry levels, which is the majority of our hires. They come back to our division because have the most capacity to be able to oversee their pre-academy training. So what that consists of is training new officers before they attend the BLA. It's making sure that they are learning our Tumwater PD, City of Tumwater policies. They're going over Washington state law, some of our case law, like Tennessee Garner and Graham v. Connor. They're doing a lot of geography because the goal is to get them familiar with the streets in the city. So when they finally do hit FTO, that is something that they're not concerned about, that they can focus on their call response and not be worrying about where they're going, because hopefully they should have an idea of where they're going. And then some basic report writing skills. And that's just a small snippet of some of the things they do. We have them doing a lot of different things. And then, you know, sometimes even assisting in the front office if we know that we're going to have them for a period. Just to kind of get them interacting with the community and or assisting with tasks that you know, are really time consuming for different people in the agency. And then we also send them out to, you know, like I said earlier, shadow. They will shadow the SROs. We send them to the prosecutor's office and they sit through different kinds of trials to learn the court process. We send them to dispatch and, you know, we partner with the fire department. They've been great. They allow our officers to shadow some of their firefighters for a shift, and we pray that they don't come back firefighters. So we want to make sure that they stay in the position we hired them for. So patrol assistants, our detectives in 24 are detectives assisted officers in 98 additional cases. And that is 98 above and beyond the 217 that were assigned to them. So that when I say that, I mean, obviously they're assisting officers every single day, but these are cases that actually resulted in them writing a supplemental form or supplemental report in one form or another. A lot of the community, smaller community events outside what Lieutenant Keelays, or I'm sorry, Acting DC Keelays mentioned. So he covers the big ones. A lot of the smaller ones gets filtered through our division because, again, capacity. So we attended 25 plus community events in 24. And that's, you know, city events, hiring and recruiting events. We do safety trainings. We get contacted a lot by different agencies, state agencies, private businesses who want training on security. Come, you know, walk through my business and, you know, can you give us an idea of how to better secure our facility? Or can you come and talk to us about, you know, what we should do in the event of an active shooter, those kinds of things. Councilmember Doloff.
Thank you. I was just earlier this year, there was a Monarch event, and I know that Tumwater works with Monarch with children who have been sexually assaulted. Is the Tumwater Police Smart, like when we're out and about going to events and we don't see Tumwater there, are you open to like, hey, there was this event, like some type of like repository of events? Because I know it's so hard to track and scheduling. If we forward like things to you, is that appreciated? Like, hey, this event's coming up. Did you know about it?
1000%. You know, that's one of the things that I really try to make myself available. I mean, I spread myself thin, but at the same time, you know, I got, you know, my kids out of the house. So let's do this. You know, I love attending community events. You know, I see you sometimes at the Principals Emergency Fund breakfast or different, you know, events throughout. Love it. And
Perfect.
sometimes I tell my folks, we have to go to this. Sometimes I give them an option to go to it. But no, any opportunity that we can to connect with our community we'll take it. So
I think that's helpful because I don't think a lot of us think of like, oh, we should make sure that police are there to give them that FaceTime. So I think that's a great reminder for all of us to keep you in the loop.
I appreciate it.
One of my requests for council specifically is to help us to bridge those gaps. I recognize that we are not always where we could be and should be. I also recognize that the police department can be a really good connector for the city and also just give people some FaceTime with us outside of calls for service. And so we would really appreciate that opportunity if you could help us with that. That's one of my primary goals for this organization is to be better connected. If you could help, I would be really appreciative.
I love it. Who would you like us to email? The chief and Detective Lieutenant Kolb? Just, does that work? You two?
That's fine, yeah. I mean, if you wanna, that works great. You know, I will vet through all that and make sure it gets to the right place. But Jen is really well connected, and so she can help us navigate that as well.
Okay, I'm on it, and apologies in advance, Jen, for the emails I'm going to be sending you.
No worries, no worries. Yes, Councilmember Gabi.
Thank you very much. So, Chief Mason, you and I in the past kind of talked briefly about community policing, and you said it was a philosophy. Do you think that would be, I know we're short of funds in our budget, that we'll have to bring staff to do stuff like that. But in terms of our visibility in the community, which you guys have done very, very, very well, and at going to events, if we have a community policing, would that be a good place to do stuff like that?
Well, so yes, let me just a quick. So community policing is at the core of what we do. It's how we connect with our people, with our community. It's how we connect and serve. What our goal would be is to build capacity to improve that, whether it be personal connections, whether it be through social media, whether it be through events. We would love to have the opportunity, but you know, to do more, we have to figure out ways to increase our capacity. But you know, one of our commitments when I stepped into this role and our command staff has talked about is we need to be out in our community making better connections. And so again, if you can help us with some of those opportunities, we'll take advantage of those as we can. And then as we build out, we will, our intentionality is to build capacity to better connect.
Thank you.
All right, so next slide, I think mine is done. So I'm going to forward to Laura.
Okay, so let me tell you about administration. Administration obviously are the folks who do not have badges and guns. So we are civilian, and we handle many of the tasks that in old days actually fell on officers. Things like records. We handle all of the public disclosure requests. We deal with protection orders and warrants. We process all the concealed carry permits, and research and analysis also comes under administration. So some of the things that we worked on in 2024, we processed 638 cases up to the prosecutor's office. So that means that we got all of the records that were part of a case, whether it was a report or a video or any other kind of record that they needed for their case, went up to the prosecutor's office. We also managed 1,032 protection orders and warrants. So with protection orders and warrants, there's actually a couple of things that admin staff do. They enter it into NCIC, which is one of the most important things because that's the database that all law enforcement uses throughout the United States to determine whether someone may be either the protected party in a protection order or the restrained party. It also will let them know if there's a warrant out for their arrest. So we spend a goodly amount of time, probably one person's worth of hours every year, just managing the protection orders and the warrants that come to us from Thurston County Court. Our next biggest workload is certainly public disclosure requests. The police department handles about 84%, I believe, of the public disclosure requests for the entire city. Last year we did 1,567. We're seeing a steady rise in PDRs, which is expected. That's happening throughout government, whether it's local, state. But one of the things that really changed in the last 2 years is that public disclosure requests now, the people who are making them routinely ask for video. So even though we've had in-car cameras for 20 years, it was rare that somebody asked for that video. But now that is the norm. So if they're asking for a police report, they're also asking for any video, and not just police video. So in our case, in-car cameras, but also any video that came to us as part of the case. So if it's a shoplift at Safeway, they want the report and they want Safeway security video. If it's something where we receive video from somebody's Ring camera, they're asking for that information as well. So videos take an amazing amount of time to process. One of the issues that you have with videos is that you have to actually watch them almost in real time to make sure that there's nothing in them that needs to be redacted. So when you're talking a case, for instance, a DUI case where we have the camera on the entire time and it may take several hours to process, that's time that an admin staff member is going to have to watch in real time. So it definitely added to the time it takes to do our public disclosure requests, in addition to just an increase in our number overall. Councilmember Dahlhoff, how can I help?
Yeah, Laura, I know for the past few years, I feel like you're always the one that's looking for new technologies and new methods and what's out there to increase efficiency and effectiveness. Where is the AI technology regarding videos and redactions?
Well, it is in its infancy. So it does exist, and it's certainly something that we are keeping an eye on because it would very much help. At this point, I know the city is understandably very cautious about how we approach AI. And I will say that for public disclosure in particular, we're going to go into that arena very carefully, because at this point anyway, AI is good, but it's not good enough. So while it could potentially help, it will still require us as humans to spend a lot of time making sure it did the right thing.
Perfect. Thanks, Laura.
Okay, some of the things that we accomplished in 2024 is we finished the police strategic growth plan. As you know, that was something that we worked on for a couple of years. It's our 5-year guide for how we're going to operate. We used a proven social science research methods to put it together, and that's something that is new in policing in general. And one thing that we were really excited about was when we went out to our community and asked them for their input, one of the things that they noted was that we were using a process that was defensible, and they liked that. They liked that we weren't just, for lack of a better word, making it up. So we were glad that our community responded to that, because we do think it was the best way to develop that plan. Another big accomplishment in 2024 and going into 25 is our increase in social media. We heard definitely from our community, from our council, that we wanted to do more outreach so that people knew more about what was happening with the police department. And of course, today social media is the way to do that. There's a lot, I think, of misunderstandings about the amount of time it takes to do social media. If you're not in communications and maybe you engage in social media as an individual, it seems like it's an easy thing. Today I'm going to post on Facebook, and tomorrow I'm going to take a picture of my meal at the restaurant and put that on Instagram. But in reality, it takes a lot more planning than that. And it also takes a lot of consistency if you actually expect anybody to look at your social media. So one of the things that we did in 2024 is we spent some considerable time developing our communications plan and what that was going to look like. We figured out what our Facebook programming was going to be so that it was happening frequently and consistently. We also married our Facebook programming with both our chief's message and our new Instagram account, so that those two, or three rather, things were playing off each other, which are just all different ways that we can gather more followers, which is important to us. And as I said here, we continued the popular weekly chief's message. So even when Chief Wicks retired and Chief Mason took over, we continued that. We have found that our community really enjoys that. One of the goals of the chief's message is to help the community understand in a more in-depth way than our other social media can do, what it is that police and the Tumwater Police Department in particular does on a daily basis, and who are the members of TPD. So that's another outlet that we use that we feel has been quite successful. Councilmember Von Holtz, what can I do for you?
Well, recovering social media manager here. And so I'm just wondering, I would love to see the analytics of, since you've implemented this new communications plan, like what the growth of followers and
Okay.
engagement with your social media looks like. I just because I'm a
Yep.
you can take the girl out of social media, but you can't take the social media out of the girl.
And analytics are everything in social media. I will get those for you. The last big accomplishment we had was getting our records management system contract signed. So the records management system, as you all know, will serve all of the Thurston County law enforcement. It is a vital piece of what law enforcement needs to do their jobs. So it's a project that had been underway since 2021, and we ended up contracting in the fall with 365 Labs, a company out of Louisiana, for both RMS for all of the police agencies, and then also a jail management system for Thurston County. So we are hoping to go live in early 2027. We are in the process of building that system as we speak. Another big part of the administration is research and analysis. And that sounds like we have this wonderful unit that does research and analysis, and we do. His name is Dr. Bowers. So he does the work of probably an entire unit all by himself. And we are very, very fortunate to have him. So Dr. Bowers works on investigations and crime analysis. So he assists both our detectives and our patrol in that way. He's great at uncovering a lot of information that has proved very helpful in solving cases. And he's also great at helping patrol understand where they need to focus their efforts. He also helps with management analysis. So as an excellent example is the staffing study that he did for us to determine how many officers that we needed to police the Tumwater Way. And when other things come up that have to do with management, he's the first person we turn to. Another big part of Dr. Bowers' job is interagency cooperation. He is our representative on many various teams and groups of law enforcement to share ideas and information, intel, just about anything. But on top of that, he is also very involved in his professional organizations and moving them forward. One thing about crime analysis in particular is it's really in its infancy. Well, you may have heard that crime analysis has been around for a long time, and it has, but in most departments, crime analysis has been done by someone, usually somebody who is a member of law enforcement. So a retired officer or an officer who has it as a specialty. But we're finally getting to the point where crime analysis is now being married up with higher education. So Dr. Bowers, as an example, has his PhD in criminal justice. And we're finding that that gives an extra added benefit to former crime analysis opportunities that have been used in the past. Along those same lines, one of Dr. Bowers' primary roles is actually teaching. He spends a lot of time with our officers and our detectives, helping them to understand not just crime and how crime trends and how they can use the data that he is presenting to help them in their jobs. He also takes them a step further. He always is explaining to them the why. So why is it that we are doing what we're doing? And why is it that we look at this data and make decisions based on the data? He also, as you well know, presented at IACP in 2024. And through that, he has been doing a lot of teaching, for lack of a better word, with other departments throughout the United States and helping them understand how they can also have a marriage of law enforcement and academia. So some of our accomplishments when it comes to research and analysis, Dr. Bowers was instrumental in actually helping Oregon police with a homicide. So in this case, a bulletin came out and Dr. Bowers goes through usually hundreds of bulletins in a year that come from all over the nation, but mostly from the West Coast. And in it was a request for help in finding a homicide suspect. And they had a picture of the automobile and had given information about what that vehicle was in the description. And Dr. Bowers looked at that and said, no, that's not that vehicle. That's a different kind of vehicle. So he got a hold of them and explained why he believed that the vehicle that they were searching for was actually a completely different make and model. And that allowed them to actually track down that vehicle and the suspect, and they were able to make an arrest. Another big feather in our caps is our partnership with the Garvey Institute. The Garvey Institute does academic and medical research and are in the process of doing some research on how to provide resources to law enforcement for responding to people who have memory-related conditions. So they've reached out to law enforcement throughout Washington State, and we said, sure, we'd love to help, because that's one of our biggest challenges, is dealing with people who have memory problems. And so they have been working with us now throughout 2024, doing interviews with our officers and better understanding how we interact with people with memory-related problems. And they're in the process of producing some of those resources that they wanted to, and then they'll hand them back to us and we'll be able to test them out. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Dr. Bowers was a presenter at IACP, and he presented Thinking Big in Smaller Departments, which helped smaller departments who are on the cusp of really adding to their professional capacity understand how they could do so, marrying academia with law enforcement. I'm going to hand it back to Deputy Chief Quiles to talk about high-risk areas.
Okay, use of force. Every year we present the use of force data to public health and safety, and this is what 2024 looked like: use of force pursuits and community complaints. So in 2024, we had 49 instances where officers used force. When I start talking about some of the numbers, you'll see the number 52, but that's only because the 49 incidents involved 52 people. 3 incidents involved 2 or more subjects. So of those 49 instances, 18 of them were low ready. Low readies where an officer draws a firearm, but just keeps it in a state where it's not pointed at anyone or anything, just in case something happens. That's one of our lowest levels uses of force. Some agencies don't report that. We do report that as a use of force. Then our next is control tactics, which is our level 1, and that primary low ready and control tactics comprises most of our use of force. And control tactics is simply someone's under arrest, you grab them, you have to turn them around and put handcuffs on them. You're not inducing any pain. You're not striking them or anything of that nature. So it's extremely low level by officers. And then what's above control tactics level 1 is what we call our intermediate tactics, which is our level 2. And that's where you get into an officer using strikes, or where you have to use the taser, or we have to use one of our other less lethal systems during the incident. And you'll see that number at 4. So 92% of our uses of force in 24 were low ready or control tactics. So extremely, extremely low levels. Only 8% involved control tactics, which were that number 4. Some of the breakdowns on that is gender wise, use of that 52 individuals, 37 of them were male, 15 were female. Residency kind of information for you is 30% or 37 of the individuals we use force on were non-Tumwater residents. Only 15 were. And then when we get into some of the demographic information, 45 of the individuals were white, 6 were African American, and 1 was of Asian descent. Moving on to pursuits, we had 4 pursuits in 2024. We are an agency that allows pursuits, but we're still very conservative and cognizant of the dangers of pursuits and what we ask of our supervisors and officers when they engage in pursuits. And that's illustrated by the zeros that you see. Is of all the pursuits we had, we didn't have to use any intervention techniques. There was no collisions, no injuries. You see no arrests because the decision was made in these 4 pursuits that the danger to the officer and the community outweighed the risk of apprehending the suspect. So either the officer or supervisor on their own determined that the risk of this pursuit weren't warranted and they terminated it on their own. So, and that's why you see all the zeros there. As far as community complaints, we had 2 community complaints, 0 sustained against officers, 2 not sustained. So of all the contacts you saw earlier of the almost 20,000 contacts the officers made or calls they went to only have 2 complaints that weren't sustained is pretty impressive. So that's the 24 data for you.
And I'll just highlight a couple things, and then we can have a conversation on any of the data that's been presented. We had developed our strategic plan with specific targets in mind. We won't be able to hit all of them because of some staffing issues, some margin issues. So we really wanted to focus on, what can we look at? And so things that are still in the works are regional corridor patrols, retail corridor patrols. How do we better support our high volume retail corridors, especially in times like holidays, that kind of a thing. How do we stand up a volunteer program? That's something that DC Keyless and I have talked about just recently. It's something that we would like to bring on board. We just have to figure out a way to bring the margin on. Regional investigation team, still something that is in discussion, but I don't even know if we'll be able to get to that this year. And then something Laura really wants to try to move forward is an intern program. How do we bring good minds into our organization and help us with things like victim advocacy? How do we better support domestic violence victims? How do we better support victims of identity theft and provide maybe some wraparound and case management for those kind of things? Those are things that we would love to be able to move forward on, and we're trying to talk about that. What we are moving forward on are the body-worn cameras. We currently are in the process of standing up our admin sergeant position. We had a target of July 1, and we'll be really close to that. That's going to give us the margin we need to move this program forward, along with a front office manager position and an IT position. The front office manager position is in process as well. It should be on board sometime in July. And the IT position, I believe, has been advertised. I'm not quite sure where that is because that's being handled by IT and HR. The other thing that we've done is we've implemented a new business welcome program. So this was actually something that was initiated by our detective division. And they put together this concept of every business that receives, every physical business that receives a new business license in the city of Tumwater will receive a visit from one of our detectives, and they'll provide some information and make that contact and make that welcome to the city so that we can hopefully build those relationships and help businesses be more successful within our community and give them a conduit for helping work through problems or challenges, especially as they're trying to get up to speed within their new venue, their new jurisdiction. So There's a lot of things we could talk about. It is 9 o'clock, and I want to make sure that we answer any questions that you have that have been brought up within this process.
Or not.
Or not?
I actually have to head to another meeting, but just the overall continued conversation of demographics in our community, what does that look like, right? The follow through and building that rapport with our community members. The one thing is like the demographics, how it's broken down and what's identified. So I could follow up. I know it's a continued conversation. So I appreciate number one, that this was added to the packet in advance to help our noggins get ready for this so we can be more proactive and engaging. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for all the work putting that together. And I look forward to what we're going to continue to do together.
Kelly, any comment? No? Well, Chief Mason, are we done with the presentation?
We are done.
Overall?
We have completed
Okay.
what we had set out to do.
Okay. I don't have any comment, and Lieta is going to be leaving. And Kelly, do you have anything to add? No? So on that note, I'll say yay. Do we have any additional item just for asking? No? Well, on that note, I say we are adjourned at 9:02 a.m. and see you guys this evening. You guys have a great day.